This is Honors Geometry Lesson 4.5, Angle, Side, Angle, and Angle, Angle, Side. So from the investigation in 4.3, we discovered that there are 5 shortcuts for proving triangles congruent. So if triangles are congruent, all the sides, all the corresponding sides have to be congruent, all the corresponding angles have to be congruent. But we discovered we don't have to check every single piece. If we check a few of the pieces, it guarantees that the two triangles are going to be congruent. So the ones that we found that work in the investigation were side, side, side. That means if you check all 3 corresponding sides on both triangles and they're congruent, they have to be the same triangle. There's no way to make a triangle that's different. We had side, angle, side, which means you have 2 sides and the angle between them. Then we had one called hypotenuse leg. So that only works in a right triangle. So let me just show you real quick what that looks like. So side, side, side would look like this. Side, angle, side would look something like this. It's 2 sides with the angle between them is called the included angle. And then hypotenuse leg looks something like this. It has to be a right triangle. And you have to have the hypotenuse of each triangle. And then you have to have one of the 2 legs. It doesn't matter which one. All right, so that's all based on having 2 sides and 1 angle, or at least 2 sides. In this lesson today, we're going to talk about 2 more that work, and that is angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. And these 2 get a little tricky because you have to ask yourself, is the side between the angles or the side not between the 2 angles? So we'll learn about the first 3 in class together, and then today we're going to learn about the last 2 on this lesson. And just as a reminder, the 2 that don't work, angle, angle, side, whoops, I just said that. I'm sorry, angle, angle, angle does not work. You have to have at least 1 side to know that the 2 triangles are congruent. Let me show you what that would look like. Something like this. If you have that the angles are congruent, but you don't have any sides, it doesn't guarantee those 2 triangles are going to be congruent. And the last one we call side, side, angle, because if you spell it the other way, it spells a bad word. That one also doesn't work. All right, here we go again. So the 2 we're going to talk about in this lesson are angle, side, angle. And let me show you one more time what that looks like. You have an angle, you have a side, and you have another angle. That's considered angle, side, angle. Everybody asks me, hey, which way do you go? Counterclockwise, clockwise, which way do you start? There is no rule. You just have to ask yourself, does the side touch both of those angles? And what angle, angle, side looks like, you have an angle, you have another angle, and then you have a side. An angle, angle, and side. And you can see the sides not touching both of the angles. So this one is considered angle, angle, side, and they both work as triangle congruent shortcuts. Here we go. So what I'd like you to do is first mark your diagram with everything you're allowed to assume. And let me give you a short list of things you're allowed to assume. We'll go pink for that. And so what I first want you to assume, our biggies are vertical angles. Look for those vertical angles. Soon as you see a vertical angle, you're going to see one that looks like a bow tie, or maybe you think of it as an hourglass. Anytime you see that, first thing I want you to do is mark those vertical angles. The other thing we use a lot is a shared side. And that's going to look something like this. If those 2 triangles both share the same side, and here it is in 21, I want you to slash that as soon as you see it. A couple of things we're going to see is when they share an angle. Let me just write that down for you. Shared angle, we're going to see that later today. And then also a alternate interior angles. If they tell you you have parallel lines, soon as you see that parallel lines in the given, you're going to be looking for those alternate interior angles, or it could be corresponding angles. All right, so here we go again. So number 20, I see it's a bow tie. I mark my vertical angles right away, and then I assess what I have. I have an angle, a side, and an angle, a side, and an angle. The side is touching both of those angles and both of my triangles. So I'm going to say, yes, we can prove this one by angle, side, angle. It has to be the same in both. They can't mix the pieces up or it doesn't work. The second one here, we see they share a side. As soon as you see they share a side, you slash that. That's the reflexive property. And then I assess what I have. I have an angle, angle, and another side. I have an angle, and a side. Do you see how this side is not between the two angles? So this one is considered angle, angle, side. Okay, I see my bow tie. The first thing I want to do is mark my vertical angles. So that gives us an A, an angle. I see I have parallel lines. That's what these little arrows mean. Soon as you see parallel lines, you're going to be looking for alternate interior angles, or possibly could be corresponding angles. So let me change color so you can see a little bit better. And we'll call this the transversal. So you can see I have this angle is congruent to this angle. And then we have a different transversal. This one can also be considered a transversal, so I know that this angle is congruent to this angle. That's about it. We have an angle, we have another angle, and we have another angle. That's on our bad list. Angle, angle, angle doesn't work, so we're going to have to say for this one, not enough information. All right, let's do a couple more quick ones. All right, this one, they give us an angle, and a side, an angle, and a side. So we can see that's angle, angle, side. This one, they give us an angle, a side, and another side, an angle, a side, and another side. You can see that angle's not between the two sides. In order to have side, angle, side, I would have to have this angle congruent to this angle. We don't. This is that bad word we were warned about. So this one we're going to have to say no, we don't have enough information to prove it. They might be congruent, but we can't prove it because it's not on our good list. All right, here it is. They share a side. Soon as I see they share a side, I slash it. Then I assess what I have. I have an angle, a side, and another angle, an angle, a side, and another angle. So this one looks like angle, side, angle. All right. We're going to skip that because I think I'm going long. Let's jump to the proof. They ask us to write a flow chart proof. We're just going to do our regular 2-column proof. Okay, this is where we first start to write our very own proofs. And these are the statements. And the right side are our reasons. All right. So again, we start with our given. We're given that VW is congruent to UW, and that's a given. We may want to put all of our given in. We may separate them. Let's just see what we have. It looks like we're trying to prove that triangle XWV. Looks like we're trying to prove this triangle is congruent to this triangle. Oh boy. All right. So the first thing we have is that the short side of the blue triangle is equal to the short side of the red triangle. So far we have a side. Next thing they tell us is that angle X, it's right here, is congruent to angle Z. That gives us an A. That's good. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. Angle X is congruent to angle Z, and that's given. And so we have a side and we have an angle. We need one more piece. Okay, you can see they have vertical angles right here and here, but that doesn't help us because that's really not part of the triangles we're trying to prove congruent. Let's see, doesn't look like they only share a piece of a side here and a piece of the side here. That doesn't help us. So vertical angles doesn't help. Shared side doesn't help. We're not given parallel lines, so we don't have alternate interior angles. Ooh, but look at this. Do you see they both have angle W as their angle? So if we'd separate these two triangles, it would look something like this. But they both have that angle W right there. So we're going to say that angle W is congruent to angle W. And we know anything's equal to itself. That's called the reflexive property. And so that's another angle. So you can see we have an angle, and a side. Do you see we have angle, angle, side, and we have angle, angle, side on the other triangle. So it looks like we're ready to finish our proof. We say triangle XWV is congruent to triangle ZWU, and that is by angle, angle, side. All right, please try the practice problems. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.